Some of President Trump's mobile phones should be shipped out this week. That's according to new reporting from USA Today after speaking with Trump Mobile CEO Pat O'Brien. It comes after some backlash from Trump supporters who paid a $100 deposit last summer for the phone. Last summer? The device was supposed to be sent out in August, but then was pushed back to November and then to December. And as of today, there's still no official release date on the company's website. Hear how the president's sons, Don Jr. and Eric, hyped up Trump Mobile last year.
Today, we're here to introduce Trump Mobile, making phones in America. It's about time we bring products back to our great country.
We're going to be having call centers for Trump Mobile in St. Louis, so we're keeping our data onshore.
We plan to build phones in America. All of our customer support is in America. A lot of people are getting ripped off, to say the least, because they don't pay attention to their cell phone plans. So I think we can do it better.
Meanwhile, Fortune has been reporting on the company behind Trump Mobile, quietly updating its pre-order terms and conditions last month to clarify that it is, quote, does not guarantee that a device will be produced or made available.
We may not actually make this device.
We just might not make it.
Wow.
Okay, so Willie,
these people.
There are lines.
Fortune also notes the company's website states that the phone, which was originally advertised to be made in America, will now be designed with American values in mind.
So made in China.
Indonesia. So made in China.
It could be Indonesia.
And you don't get what you pay for.
So really lines.
But the Trumps make money.
And lines. And lines.
The American way.
Of people waiting for this. What's happening?
Big, healthy, long lines. Yeah. I mean, the contempt that the Trump family and the president continue to show for their own supporters with things like this. Give us $100. We're never giving you a phone. You're not getting your money back. Or remember back around the 2020 election, the fraud fund, they got $250 million from their own supporters. That wasn't an election defense fund.
Right.
They just continue to bilk and dupe their own supporters and have such contempt for the people who vote for them and support them.
And they go along with it. They go along with it. Now Trump's trying to get his own DOJ to settle a case with IRS. And it's insanity. Jake Sullivan, if anybody gets Trump Golden Phone, I'm sure you will be first in.
I signed up already.
Long
never
line,
got it.
So many lines. But I want to ask you, going back to where we are right now with Iran, what would your advice be to any sitting president that found themselves in this position right now? Well, I mean, we are not, I guess, in a quagmire yet. It hasn't gone on that long. But the president, certainly, if you look at Robert Kagan, again, as you said, a war hawk, look at his column a couple of days ago. It is jarring. There aren't a lot of good options. And the consequences of defeat, catastrophic.
Well, first, guys, I still am stuck on this Trump phone story. I was not following that. That is really quite unbelievable, especially that fine print that says you may not even get the phone when you pay for it. But anyway,
it's crazy.
So, from the ridiculous to the sublime, or maybe to the other ridiculous, what's going on in the Persian Gulf. What I would tell the president is that there was a deal on the table before he launched this misbegotten war to put Iran's nuclear program in a box. It would require some compromise on the part of the United States, but we would be able to ensure that Iran didn't get a nuclear weapon. He did not take that deal. We can still get that deal, in my view, though it's been made harder. So I would actually get real negotiators who are real experts on the Iran nuclear program, have them go sit down with the Iranians, maybe with third-party mediators as well, and get that done so that we can get the Strait back open, get energy flowing once again, and get gas prices down. And I would put real effort into making that happen rather than continue to flail around thinking that if I just bomb them once more or I just continue the blockade one more day, all of a sudden Iran's going to blink. That assumption has not borne out. It will not bear out. And Joe, to your point, every expert on Iran has been saying that from the start. So President Trump, while he's unlikely to, should probably start listening to them.
So, Jake, it was the war in Iran that delayed originally this trip to Beijing. The president could be landing shortly in China. Iran now at the center of that conversation. As we said earlier, China supports Iran in the war, buys most of its oil, all the things we know about that country and its relationship with Iran. But also, There's the question of Taiwan. There's the question of trade, of course. If you were going into this trip, if you were traveling with the president on Air Force One right now, where would your focus be from the American perspective?
Well, I was struck. You guys were talking early in the program about his statement that he doesn't care about the financial situation of Americans. If you look at the Truth Social post he put out on the plane flying there, he talked about all the CEOs he was bringing. And he said in it, he's bringing them there basically to bring China to a different level, not to help America, but to help China. I think this is exactly the wrong way to go into this meeting. I think that President Trump should go in thinking about how he defends the American worker and American businesses against Chinese practices that are undercutting our companies and making it harder for them to compete. And I also think he has to be very careful not to make a significant concession to President Xi on Taiwan. This will be President Xi's top ask of him, that he do something to draw back on Taiwan arms sales, or he change our policy towards that island. And I think we should all be on guard that President Trump falls for that and hope that he does not.
Former National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, thank you very much. And you can listen to Jake on his Vox Media podcast, The Long Game. Thank you, Jake.